Women are animals with long hair and short ideas, a sentence as cruel as it is sharp. Like broken glass cutting through the mind, it leaves a scar not just on the ears, but on the heart. Today, these words sound offensive, hateful, and fundamentally wrong. And rightly so. But we must confront the unsettling truth. They were spoken by Arthur Schopenhauer, one of the darkest and most controversial thinkers in the history of philosophy, a man known for his brilliant intellect and equally bitter view of life. Before we rush to dismiss him as merely a bitter, angry, woman-hating figure, which in some ways he undoubtedly was, let's take a moment to pause. Because behind his harsh words, beneath the layers of hostility, lies something rarely acknowledged, something not easily discussed, something uncomfortable. A buried feeling many men quietly carry, but are too afraid or ashamed to express. Not out of hatred for women, but from wounds left behind by love. Schopenhauer's contempt wasn't simply directed at women for who they were. It was aimed at what love had done to him. He despised the way love made him feel, powerless, discarded, and at times completely replaceable. He couldn't stand how love, which promises connection and comfort, instead made him feel like an outsider in his own story. Behind his anger was a deeper, more haunting question, one that many men feel echoing silently inside, but never dare to ask aloud. Why is it never enough? Why does she always seem to want more? Why does she walk away even when it felt real? And why does the next man always appear better, stronger, more confident, more successful? These questions don't emerge from a place of hate. They arise from heartbreak, from disappointment, from a sense of losing something you thought was secure. And today, that's what we're going to explore. We're going to confront a painful but important reality, the concept of hypergamy, the idea that women are subconsciously drawn to men who rank higher in status, power, or social dominance. We'll also examine the quiet resentment that builds within men when love begins to feel less like a bond and more like a silent competition, one they never knowingly entered, a race they didn't know they had to run until they found themselves outpaced. To truly grasp Schopenhauer's views on women and romantic love, we need to understand the foundation of his philosophy. He believed that the universe is not governed by reason, by divine order, or by logic. Instead, it is ruled by something far more primal, the will to live. This force, blind and relentless, exists in everything, from trees to animals to humans. It seeks one thing only: survival. And in its pursuit, it drives us to crave, to chase, and to long for what we do not have. But therein lies the trap. Because desire, no matter how beautifully disguised, always carries pain. To want is to lack. And the will, according to Schopenhauer, is never satisfied. It is an eternal hunger, always reaching, always needing. He argued that love, especially the kind we romanticize, is not sacred or spiritual. It is not about two souls finding each other in the chaos. No, love, in his eyes, is a trick, a biological illusion, perfectly crafted by nature, a mask worn by the will, designed to push us toward reproduction and survival, not to bring us joy or fulfillment. So when we say we fall in love, Schopenhauer would argue, you didn't fall, you were pushed. And here's where it becomes even darker. Schopenhauer claimed that women don't choose partners based on kindness or affection alone. Deep beneath the surface, their instincts are calculating, even if they themselves are unaware of it. Their biology is silently but powerfully asking, can this man protect me? Can he provide for a family? Does he have the strength, intelligence, and confidence my future children will need to thrive? It is a cold, evolutionary algorithm, ancient, automatic, and deeply embedded in human behavior. And that instinct has a name: hypergamy. What is hypergamy? The quiet instinct that still hurts men today. Let's talk about something most men feel deep down, yet few dare to speak out loud. A question that haunts the mind in the aftermath of love lost. Why does it sometimes feel like love isn't really about love at all, but about power? Why does it seem that no matter how kind you are, no matter how loyal, patient, supportive, or emotionally available, you still get passed over? Why, after giving your best, does she still choose someone else? Someone taller, wealthier, stronger, more confident? Why? The answer might appear simple on the surface, but it runs deep. It reaches into biology, into history, into the silent algorithms of human nature. It's called hypergamy. So, what exactly is hypergamy? Beyond the confusion and blame, hypergamy is the natural instinct in women to seek out a partner who is at their level, or more often above, in strength, in status, in success. It's not cruelty, it's not greed, and it's certainly not about being shallow or manipulative. It's something much older than modern relationships. It's ancient survival programming written into the very DNA of humanity. Think about it. In a time long before cities, before houses with locked doors, before healthcare, before online dating profiles, a woman's survival depended almost entirely on the man she chose. If she picked the wrong one, a man too weak to protect her or provide, she didn't just risk heartbreak, she risked her life and the lives of her children. So nature stepped in and gave her something, a built-in radar, a survival compass. This radar doesn't speak in language. It doesn't analyze spreadsheets or read poetry. It works through feeling, through instinct, through an unspoken sense that says, this man can lead, this man can provide, this man can keep me safe. Even now, in an age of convenience, equality, and independence, where women can build careers, buy homes, and protect themselves, that radar hasn't disappeared. It's simply evolved. It no longer looks for the strongest man with a spear. Instead, it searches for something more abstract: purpose, direction, inner strength. It looks for the man who is going somewhere. The man who walks into a room with quiet certainty. The man who refuses to be rattled by rejection or failure. The one who has clarity, focus, and a sense of who he is and what he wants. But here's the painful truth that stings so many good men. Sometimes you can do everything right. You can be the dependable one, the loyal one, the thoughtful listener, the man who brings flowers, remembers details, stays through the storms, and still, somehow, she doesn't choose you. You might be the man who was always there, always giving, always loving, and yet, one day, you find her gone. Not because you did anything wrong, not because you weren't enough as a person, but because you weren't enough for her instincts. Maybe she found someone with more visible ambition. Maybe it was someone more socially dominant, more charismatic, or simply someone who exuded a stronger sense of presence. And that kind of rejection doesn't just hurt, it crushes something deep inside, something fragile. Because when a woman leaves a good man, not for someone abusive, but for someone better, it doesn't just feel like rejection. It feels like erasure, like everything you gave, your time, your attention, your care, meant nothing in the final calculation. It feels like you were quietly outcompeted in a contest you never knew existed. A contest you didn't sign up for, but lost anyway. And that's where something darker begins to form. That's where the resentment begins. Not because men hate women, but because they feel used, because they feel replaced, because it feels like they were swapped out like yesterday's model of a phone. Good, reliable, but no longer exciting. And that pain, it doesn't always come out in tears or therapy sessions. Sometimes it hides behind sarcasm. It speaks through cynical jokes. It slips out in the quiet bitterness of phrases like, all women are the same. Nice guys always finish last. Love is a scam. A sharp, bitter phrase that echoes louder than it should. But beneath all that noise, Beneath the cynicism, the sarcasm, the anger, there's something softer. A wound. A quiet, aching pain that whispers, I gave my best, and I still wasn't chosen. That's what really hurts. And society doesn't make this any easier. It doesn't stop to listen. When men feel that pain, when they sit alone with the echo of rejection, what do they hear? Just be nice. Be respectful. Just be yourself. But what if you were all of those things? What if you showed up with honesty, with heart, with everything you had to give, and it still wasn't enough? What if you did all the right things and followed all the rules, only to find out that the rules never really applied? What if, no matter how kind, loyal, or patient you were, she didn't want the nice guy? What if, deep down, her instincts pulled her toward someone else? Toward the one with sharper edges, the one who moved through life with boldness, like he didn't need permission, not because he was more compassionate, not because he treated her better, but because something in him activated something deep in her, an ancient instinct, a hunger for strength, for certainty, for power, not in cruelty, but in presence. That's the part Schopenhauer understood better than most. Schopenhauer didn't just write about love like a detached philosopher. He didn't analyze relationships the way a scientist studies a subject under glass. He wrote like a man who had been broken by it, a man who had given his heart, fully, completely, and was still left behind. His insights didn't come from ivory towers or university debates. They came from real pain, from cold silences, from distant looks, from love that vanished without warning. He carried a complicated, strained relationship with his own mother. He endured failed romances that left him empty and bitter. He often felt invisible, unwanted, even in the spaces where he most wanted to belong. That's why his philosophy hits so deeply. It doesn't just speak to the mind, it reaches into the hidden corners of the male experience. It speaks to the heart of a man who feels forgotten. But here's the danger, one that lurks in silence. When pain is mixed with truth, it can become something toxic, a poison. At first, it might seem like clarity, but if left to sit too long, that pain curdles. It turns into bitterness, into blame, into resentment, not just toward women, but toward yourself. That poison slowly eats away at your spirit, not all at once, quietly. It steals your energy, your hope, your sense of self-worth. And if you're not careful, it reshapes your entire view of the world. So, what do you do with that truth? You don't deny it. You don't bury it under distraction or pretend it's not real. You face it, you name it, and then you rise above it. Because the truth isn't there to make you angry. It's not meant to turn you against love or against women. It's there to wake you up, to show you something that no one teaches. Attraction doesn't reward goodness. It rewards growth. It rewards presence. It rewards direction, energy, and authentic confidence. When you begin to embody those things, not as an act, not to win approval, but because they are rising from within you, something changes. You stop begging to be chosen. You become undeniable. And here's the twist. That's often when people finally notice you. Not because you altered yourself for them, but because you transformed for you. So what happens when men stay silent? What happens to the wound that no one sees? Let's talk about it. The invisible weight many men carry day after day. The pain they try to laugh off. The ache they bury under a strong smile. It's the heartbreak of giving everything you had and still hearing it's not enough. You were loyal. You were kind. You showed up with full effort, with patience, with commitment. You did what you thought a good man should do. And in the end, she still walked away. Or worse, she stayed, but made you feel like a ghost. Present, but unseen. Loved, but only halfway. That kind of heartbreak doesn't always explode in tears or shouting. Sometimes it just sits inside you, quiet, heavy, cold. And when men feel that pain but aren't allowed to speak it, when there's no space for grief or anger, it doesn't vanish. It changes shape. It becomes something else. And that's where the real danger begins. Bitterness, frustration, anger with no clear target. These emotions start off quietly, like a dull ache beneath the surface. But they grow. And that anger, confused, wounded, unspoken, starts looking for a place to belong. So, where does it go? Often it finds a home online, in the shadows of comment sections, in anonymous forums, in viral posts filled with rage and resignation. In communities that echo one common message: love is fake. Women only care about status or money. Nice guys always lose. At first, these places feel like safe havens, like a warm corner of the world where someone finally understands you. You read stories that sound just like yours. You find others who were also rejected, ghosted, overlooked. For the first time in a long time, you don't feel alone. But something changes, slowly, subtly. What started as connection becomes corrosion. What felt like healing becomes habit. A habit of blame. A habit of projecting pain instead of processing it. These spaces, meant to bring relief, turn into echo chambers of rage, and inside them, the same story plays on repeat. One that doesn't lead you forward, but keeps you stuck, not in love, not in truth, but in anger. And blame, while it can feel powerful, is a poor substitute for real strength. It gives the illusion of control, but it never brings closure. It doesn't take the weight off your chest. It doesn't help you sleep better at night. All it does is recycle the pain, again and again, until it becomes your identity. Here's the truth. If you look underneath all that anger, beneath the tough talk, the sarcastic jokes, the hardened edges, you won't find hatred. You'll find grief. Not the loud kind, but the quiet grief of a man who just wanted to feel chosen, who longed to be seen, not as an option, not as a backup plan, but as someone truly worthy. A man who tried to love honestly, who showed up, who gave everything, and still felt overlooked, used, replaced, forgotten. So what does he do with that pain? Where does he put it? Does he pretend it doesn't exist? Does he bury it beneath distractions and pride? Does he harden his heart forever, until nothing touches him anymore? Or worse, does he let that pain turn to poison? The kind that leaks into every future relationship, every conversation, every mirror he looks into? Or is there another way? There is. But it's not easy. It's not flashy. It's not the kind of solution that fits into a catchy quote or quick video. And no, it's not about chasing more women. It's not about learning tricks, memorizing lines, or pretending to be someone you're not. It's definitely not about turning cold or hating women. The real path? It's about building something deeper, becoming the kind of man who no longer needs external validation to feel worthy. A man who doesn't rely on being chosen to believe in his own value. A man who doesn't shape himself based on someone else's acceptance, but on his own inner truth. It's about becoming a man who rises, not for approval, but for himself. Because when you begin to walk in your own purpose, when your life is rich with direction, with vision, with meaning, you no longer need love to complete you. And ironically, that's when love often finds you. Not because you're hunting it, but because you're rooted, grounded, whole. People are drawn to that energy. They can feel it. You can't fake it. You can't copy it. It radiates from deep within. But none of this happens if you stay silent. If you keep pressing your pain deeper and deeper, hoping it will just go away. It won't. It will find its way out. Through mood swings, through broken relationships, through self-sabotage, through that quiet voice inside that always whispers, "I'm not enough." That's why you must speak. Even if it's just to yourself at first, you must face it. You must sit with the pain, not run from it, not drown it out, not blame others for it. And then you must choose something better. Choose not to collapse. Choose not to shut down. Choose not to hate. Choose to build. Because silence doesn't make you strong. Healing does. And healing doesn't start with women, it starts with you, with asking, what am I still holding on to? What story have I been telling myself about my worth? Am I still trying to prove something to people who walked away? Or am I finally ready to own my value, no matter who sees it? Because once you start living for yourself, truly living, not surviving, once you begin to rebuild from the inside out, with no masks, no performance, no shame, you become unstoppable. The path forward. Let's get something clear. Truly understanding hypergamy doesn't mean you have to reject it. It doesn't mean becoming cynical, bitter, or turning cold inside. It simply means you've woken up. You've stopped believing in the fairy tale version of relationships, and now you've learned how the game of attraction actually works. You're not broken, you're just informed. And from this place of clarity, you're choosing to move differently, not with pain, but with purpose. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's not about faking confidence or pretending to be alpha. It's about stepping into a version of yourself that's more grounded, more focused, more aware. You don't need to be flawless. You don't need to become a millionaire overnight or act like someone you're not. But you do need to become powerful in your own life. And that power isn't for anyone else. Not so women will notice. Not to win someone back. Not to prove anything to anyone. It's for you. Because once you take your energy away from chasing approval, once you stop searching for external validation and start investing that energy into building your foundation, something remarkable begins to shift. You become centered, rooted, untouchable in the best way. And it all begins with one simple but transformative change. Stop asking, how can I get her to choose me? And start asking, how can I become the kind of man I deeply respect? That one mindset shift changes everything. Your focus, your decisions, your future. Most men spend years, even decades, pouring their energy into trying to be liked, trying to stand out, trying to be chosen. But what if you stopped doing that? What if, instead of competing for someone else's attention, you started competing only with the man you were yesterday? What if you woke up each morning and asked, where am I still shrinking? Where am I backing down when I should be standing tall? Where have I let fear, doubt, or weakness hold me back? And what can I do today to break through it? This is not about self-hatred. It's not about tearing yourself down. It's about radical honesty, and using that honesty as fuel for real growth. Because when you build yourself from the inside out, when you stop obsessing over how you're perceived and start focusing on who you're becoming, you begin to change, not in an instant, but gradually, deliberately, day by day, step by step, win by win. You begin to walk with discipline. You move with purpose. You speak with clarity. You start to embody mission, not just desire. And slowly, you become a man who no longer needs to be chosen, because he's already chosen himself. Here's the truth. No one tells most men. When you stop chasing attention, you begin to emit something rare. You start to radiate calm, confidence, presence. And that's when people start noticing you. Women, friends, even strangers. Not because you're trying so hard, but because you're not trying at all. You're simply being. You carry something that can't be faked. A quiet strength, a clear sense of direction, and a genuine power that doesn't come from outside approval. It comes from within. And that's when everything shifts. You no longer wait on the sidelines hoping to be seen. You no longer feel behind. You realize you were never behind. You just hadn't activated your power yet. So here's your path forward. No more pretending, no more performing, no more collapsing every time something doesn't go your way. Build your body, build your mind, build your skills, build your life, not to impress anyone, but to evolve. Because when you're evolving, when you're locked in on becoming a stronger, wiser, more resilient version of yourself than you were the day before, something begins to shift. You no longer chase applause. You don't need loud praise or constant validation to feel worthy. Why? Because you've seen what happens when you build from the inside out. You already know your worth, deeply, quietly, unshakably. And that kind of man, that kind of calm, grounded energy, it doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't plead to be seen. It doesn't chase. It attracts, silently, powerfully, naturally. Your pain is not the end. It never was. Let's be honest. Life is going to reject you, sometimes hard, and not just in love. Rejection will come in friendships, in career paths, in family, in dreams that seemed within reach, until they weren't. The truth? Sometimes the person you adored will choose someone else. Sometimes someone you gave everything to will walk away without looking back. And no, you won't become immune to that sting. You're not made of stone. You're human. You'll still feel that hollow ache in your chest, that quiet question, was I not enough? It will still hurt. But here's the difference. It won't destroy you anymore. It won't paralyze you. It won't control your narrative. Because now, you're building something far deeper, something rejection cannot touch. You're developing a foundation made of self-discipline, consistency, integrity. A mission that's not fueled by someone else's love, but by your own purpose. A direction that isn't guided by approval, but by personal vision. You've stopped depending on people to complete you. You've stopped handing them the pen to write your story. And because of that shift, when someone leaves, you let them. Not in anger, not with desperation or emotional collapse, but with peace. A quiet nod that says, go. I'll be fine. Because now you understand something most men never realize until it's too late. Your value was never about who stays. It's about what you build day by day with your own two hands. The truth is, not everyone will recognize your worth. Some will take you for granted. Some will doubt you. Some will leave before they ever truly know you. But none of that defines you. Your value does not fluctuate based on their vision. Because your worth was never supposed to come from outside of you. Schopenhauer warned us, love can hurt. He saw the pain that hides inside romance, and he was right. Love, as beautiful as it can also tear you down if you fall into it blindly. If you give everything to someone before you've built something for yourself. If you expect love to fix you, instead of completing your already whole self. And yes, Schopenhauer saw the pain. But where he saw only suffering, nature gave us a path forward. Use the pain. Don't run from it. Turn it into power. Let it carve something new inside you. Let it harden your resolve, not your heart. Let it discipline you. Let it guide you. Let it teach you what no one else ever did. Turn your heartbreak into habits. Turn rejection into redirection. Turn loneliness into intense, focused growth. Let your silence, the nights you didn't speak, the moments you sat alone, become your greatest strength. So, what now? Build your strength, not to impress, but to protect. Not to look good, but to feel powerful, steady, capable. Train your body to endure. Train your mind to think deeper, clearer, stronger. Take control of your time. Own it. Use it wisely. Stop giving it away to distractions that give you nothing back. Forge your path. Design a life that reflects who you are, your values, your beliefs, your dream. Live with intention. Build not to chase love, but to honor yourself. And if love comes, let it come. Let it flow into your life freely, but don't orbit around it. Don't build your self-worth on whether or not someone chooses you. You are already enough. You've always been. You don't need to chase anyone. You don't need to beg to be seen. You don't need to crumble when things go wrong. This is the start of something new. You are no longer the man who waits to be chosen. You are the man who chooses. You are no longer the man who breaks when things fall apart. You are the man who rises, rebuilt, refined, stronger. You are no longer the man who hides his wounds. You are the man who turns pain into power, sorrow into structure, loneliness into legacy. So, here's what I'll leave you with. Don't beg, don't chase, don't shrink. Grow, lead, rise. Because once you know who you are, no person, no rejection, no failure, no heartbreak can ever convince you that you are not enough. You've stopped depending on people to complete you. You've stopped handing them the pen to write your story. And because of that shift, when someone leaves, you let them. Not in anger, not with desperation or emotional collapse, but with peace. A quiet nod that says, "Go. I'll be fine." Because now you understand something most men never realize until it's too late. Your value was never about who stays. It's about what you build day by day with your own two hands. The truth is, not everyone will recognize your worth. Some will take you for granted. Some will doubt you. Some will leave before they ever truly know you. But none of that defines you. Your value does not fluctuate based on their vision. Because your worth was never supposed to come from outside of you. Schopenhauer warned us, love can hurt. He saw the pain that hides inside romance, and he was right. Love, as beautiful as it can also tear you down if you fall into it blindly. If you give everything to someone before you've built something for yourself. If you expect love to fix you, instead of completing your already whole self. And yes, Schopenhauer saw the pain. But where he saw only suffering, nature gave us a path forward. Use the pain. Don't run from it. Turn it into power. Let it carve something new inside you. Let it harden your resolve, not your heart. Let it discipline you. Let it guide you. Let it teach you what no one else ever did. Turn your heartbreak into habits. Turn rejection into redirection. Turn loneliness into intense, focused growth. Let your silence, the nights you didn't speak, the moments you sat alone, become your greatest strength. So, what now? Build your strength, not to impress, but to protect. Not to look good, but to feel powerful, steady, capable. Train your body to endure. Train your mind to think deeper, clearer, stronger. Take control of your time. Own it. Use it wisely. Stop giving it away to distractions that give you nothing back. Forge your path. Design a life that reflects who you are, your values, your beliefs, your dream. Live with intention. Build not to chase love, but to honor yourself. And if love comes, let it come. Let it flow into your life freely, but don't orbit around it. Don't build your self-worth on whether or not someone chooses you. You are already enough. You've always been. You don't need to chase anyone. You don't need to beg to be seen. You don't need to crumble when things go wrong. This is the start of something new. You are no longer the man who waits to be chosen. You are the man who chooses. You are no longer the man who breaks when things fall apart. You are the man who rises, rebuilt, refined, stronger. You are no longer the man who hides his wounds. You are the man who turns pain into power, sorrow into structure, loneliness into legacy. So, here's what I'll leave you with. Don't beg, don't chase, don't shrink. Grow, lead, rise. Because once you know who you are, no person, no rejection, no failure, no heartbreak can ever convince you that you are not enough.